has opened like a door you did not know was there, and you have stepped through it without question, without hurry. The air is cool against your wrists, against the hollow of your throat. It moves like silk, like something poured from a careful hand. You breathe it in, and it tastes of dew and distance, of minerals sleeping in the earth, of time that has no edges. The garden spreads before you. It is not large. It is not small. It is the size of all the quiet you have ever wanted. White gravel, paths curve between the beds like rivers of ground bone, like the trails that stars might leave if they could walk. The stones whisper under your feet, a sound so soft it is almost the memory of sound, almost the idea of footsteps in a place where no one rushes, where no one ever will. You breathe slowly. The moon is high and full, suspended in a sky so clear it seems to hum. Its light falls like powder, like fine ash made of silver, and it touches everything. The petals of night-blooming flowers glow pale as moth wings. The leaves hold drops of dew that catch the moonlight and become small stars themselves, constellations you could gather in your palm. Every surface shimmers. Every edge is soft. You let your gaze drift. There is a low stone wall to your right, no higher than your knee. It curves away into shadow and returns again, marking the border between one bed and the next. The stones are smooth, worn by hands or wind, or the passage of seasons you cannot count. They still hold the warmth of the day, though the day is hours gone. You reach out. You rest your fingertips against the stone. The warmth moves into your skin like a secret, like a promise the earth has kept. You breathe slowly. The garden hums. It is not a sound you hear with your ears alone. It is the vibration of 1,000 small things living at once. The roots drinking deep below, the moth circling on velvet wings, the dew forming in the cool exhalation of the night, the stars wheeling overhead in their ancient, silent choir. You feel it in your chest, in the soles of your feet. The garden is alive, and it breathes with you. A path opens before you. You follow it without deciding to follow. Your feet know the way, or perhaps the way knows your feet. The white gravel glows faintly, a ribbon of lunar dust threading between beds of lavender and sage, between clusters of pale roses that open only after dark. The roses are the color of cream, of candle wax, of the inside of a shell. They hold their faces to the moon as if in prayer, as if listening. You breathe slowly. The air is full of jasmine. It drifts from somewhere you cannot see, a fragrance so delicate it barely touches you before it dissolves, before it becomes another breath, another step. You inhale, and the sweetness fills your lungs, your blood. It is the scent of summer rendered down to its essence, to the single note that means rest, that means home. You walk on. The path bends gently to the left, and you bend with it. There is no hurry here. There is no destination that will not wait. The night holds you the way water holds a leaf, with no effort, with perfect trust. You are weightless. You are held. You breathe slowly. To your left, a trellis rises from the earth. It is old wood, silvered by weather, laced with climbing vines whose leaves are dark as iron in in the moonlight. Small white flowers bloom along the length of it, each one a star, each one a tiny lamp. You pause. You lean close. The flowers have no scent, or their scent is so faint it is only the idea of sweetness, only the ghost of something once beautiful. You touch one petal. It is cool and smooth, like silk left out under the night sky. It trembles beneath your finger, then is still. You breathe slowly. The garden breathes with you. Above, the sky is a field of light. The stars are not distant here. They are low and near, as if the heavens have bent down to see you, to watch you move through this small cosmos of stone and leaf and water. The Milky Way spills across the black like flour across a table, like a road you could walk if you knew how to leave the ground. You tilt your head back. You let the starlight fall onto your face, onto your closed eyelids. It is cool. It is kind. You breathe slowly. The path curves again, and now you see it. The pond. It lies at the center of the garden, like a mirror someone has set down and forgotten. The surface is perfectly still, a sheet of black glass that holds the entire sky. You see the moon there, whole and round and bright. You see the stars scattered like salt, like seeds. You see the dark shapes of trees at the far edge, their reflections hanging upside down in the water, roots reaching toward a heaven that is also a depth. You walk closer. The gravel under your feet becomes softer, becomes damp earth. You feel the coolness of it through your shoes, through your skin. The air here is heavier, richer. It smells of green things growing, of water that has nowhere to go, that simply rests and reflects and waits. You breathe slowly. You stop at the edge of the pond. The water is so still you could believe it is not water at all, but a hole in the world, a window opened onto another garden that exists only in starlight and shadow. You kneel. The earth is cool beneath your knees, soft as moss, though there is no moss here, only the memory of grass and the faint damp of night settling in. You reach out, you let your fingers brush the surface. The water trembles. Rings spread outward in perfect circles, slow and deliberate, like the echoes of a bell that rang once, long ago, and is still ringing. The stars in the water shiver. The moon bends and reforms. You watch the ripples move, watch them touch the far shore and return, smaller now, fainter, until they are gone and the surface is glass again. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you. A sound drifts from somewhere far away, a soft chime, delicate as thread. Wind bells, perhaps, hanging from a pergola you have not yet seen. The sound comes once, twice, then fades into the hush. You listen to the silence that follows. It is not empty. It is full of all the small sounds you would miss if you did not stop, if you did not let yourself be still. The faint rustle of leaves turning in their sleep, the distant hoot of an owl, the quiet percussion of your own heartbeat, steady and slow. You breathe slowly. You sit back on your heels. The stars drift overhead, patient and eternal. The moon pours its light onto the garden, onto the water, onto you. You feel yourself settling, softening, like soil after rain. The edges of your thoughts blur. The questions you carried here begin to dissolve, to lose their the breathing earth. You let go. You do not know how long you have been here. Time has loosened its grip. Minutes are hours. Our moments are all the same in this place where nothing changes and everything is always changing, where the dew forms and falls and forms again, where the stars wheel overhead in their slow dance and the garden turns its face to the light and rests. You breathe slowly. You rise to your feet. The gravel path continues around the pond, and you follow it. Your legs move without thought, without effort. You are a part of the garden now, another moth drifting between the flowers, another breath of wind slipping through the leaves. The cool air wraps around you. The scent of jasmine returns, fainter now, mixed with something else, mint perhaps, or the green smell of crushed stems, of life lived quietly in the dark. You breathe slowly. To your right, a stone bench appears. It is simple, unadorned, just a slab of pale rock resting on two supports. It faces the pond, faces the sky reflected in the water. You do not sit yet. You stand beside it, your hand resting on the cool stone. You feel the texture of it, the tiny pits and ridges, the history written in mineral and weather and time. You breathe slowly. A moth drifts past your face. Its wings are white, dusted with silver, and they move so slowly you could count each beat. It spirals upward, drawn by something you cannot see, and disappears into the dark above the garden. You watch it go. You feel no need to follow, no need to know where it is going. It is enough that it exists, that it moves through the same air you breathe, that it is part of this night, this moment, this gentle unfolding. You breathe slowly. The garden hums. You turn your gaze back to the pond. The reflection is perfect. The sky above and the sky below are twins, mirror images, two halves of the same quiet whole. You could fall into either one. You could let yourself drift down into that reflected heaven and never know you had left the earth. But you do not fall. You stand, rooted and light at once, held by the ground and lifted by the stars. You breathe slowly. The night deepens. It is not darker, not exactly. It is simply more itself. The shadows between the flower beds grow richer. The moonlight seems to thicken, to become almost tangible, a substance you could gather in your hands. The wind bells chime again, just once, and the sound hangs in the air, like a word spoken in a language you almost remember. You breathe slowly. You let your eyes drift closed. Behind your eyelids, the garden continues. You see the pale paths, the dark leaves, the water holding the sky. You see the stars drifting like petals on an invisible current. You see yourself standing here, small and quiet, a figure painted in moonlight and shadow, a part of the stillness, a part of the song. You breathe slowly. You open your eyes. Nothing has changed. Everything has changed. The garden is exactly as it was, exactly as it always is, and you're exactly where you need to be. The cool air moves across your skin. The gravel whispers beneath your feet. The stars wheel overhead in their slow, eternal pattern. You breathe slowly, the night holds you. You take another step along the path, and the garden unfolds before you, offering itself without condition, without end. There is more to see, more to feel, more to let yourself dissolve into. But there is no rush. There is only this, the soft hush of your footsteps, the silver light, the scent of night blooms, the infinite patience of the earth and sky. You breathe slowly, the garden breathes with you, and you walk on. You breathe slowly, some path leads you away from the pond, away from the mirror of stars, and the garden unfolds in new shapes, new whispers. The white gravel glows beneath your feet like a seam of light sown through the dark. Each step is soft, each step is certain. You are not leading yourself. The garden is leading you, gently, the way a hand might guide you through a room where all the lamps are low. You let yourself be led. The air has changed. It is cooler now, touched with the scent of damp earth and something green, something alive in the way only growing things can be alive. Patient, persistent, rooted deep. You breathe it in. The coolness fills your chest, spreads through your limbs. You feel lighter, as if the night is slowly lifting the weight of the day from your shoulders, from your spine, from the place between your thoughts where tension lives. You breathe slowly. To your left, a bed of herbs unfolds in silvered rows. Sage, perhaps. Tame, low plants with small leaves that catch the moonlight and hold it like water in cupped palms. The scent rises as you pass, released by the faint warmth your body carries, by the disturbance of air as you move. It is clean and sharp and ancient, the smell of kitchens and hillsides and medicines made by hands that knew the names of every leaf. You pause. You kneel beside the bed. The earth is cool beneath your knees, soft and giving. You reach out, your fingers hovering over the nearest plant. The leaves are tiny, dense as fur. You touch one. It is velvet under your fingertip, impossibly soft, and the scent strengthens. Mint, you realize now, wild and clean as mountain streams, as wind across high meadows. You crush the leaf gently between your fingers, and the fragrance blooms, fills the space around you, becomes part of your breath, part of your skin. You breathe slowly. You bring your fingers to your face. The scent clings there, cool and bright. You close your eyes and inhale deeply, and for a moment you are somewhere else, a place of stone walls and hillsides and sheep bells ringing in the distance, a place that exists only in the memory of this smell, this green sharpness, this ancient simplicity. Then you are here again, in the garden, under the stars. You breathe slowly. You rise and continue walking. The path curves to the right, and now you see another trellis, taller than the first, its frame dark against the luminous sky. Vines climb its length, thick and gnarled, their leaves large and lobed like open hands. Small white flowers bloom in clusters, each one a pale star, each one holding a drop of dew at its center, like a tiny moon, a miniature world. You stop before it. You tilt your head back and look up. The trellis is a ladder to nowhere, a structure built only to hold beauty, to give the vines a place to climb toward the light they cannot reach. The flowers glow softly, their petals luminous in the dark. You think of lanterns, you think of candles, you think of all the small lights humans have made to push back the night. And here the night has made its own, silent, effortless, asking nothing. You breathe slowly. A breeze moves through the garden. It is so faint you barely feel it, just the lightest touch against your cheek, against the backs of your hands. The leaves of the trellis stir, the flowers tremble, the wind bells chime again, somewhere beyond the curve of the path, beyond the far wall. The sound is like water falling, like glass touched with a careful finger. It hangs in the air and fades, and the silence that follows is deeper, softer, more complete. You breathe slowly, the garden holds you. You walk on, and the path opens into a wider space. Here the beds are larger, more wild. Tall grasses grow in pale clumps, their seed heads silvered by moonlight, bending and swaying in the faint breath of wind. Between them, flowers you do not recognize rise on slender stems, blooms like bells, like cups, their petals translucent and white as onion skin. They seem to glow from within, as if they have stored the day's light and are releasing it now, slowly, gently, into the dark. You breathe slowly. You stop walking. You stand very still, and you listen. The garden is full of sound, but you have to be quiet to hear it. The rustle of grass against grass, the faint ticking of seed pods drying in the cool air, the soft collapse of dew dropping from one leaf to another, the hum of the earth itself, that low vibration that is always there if you stop moving, if you stop thinking, if you let yourself be nothing but a body standing in the dark, alive and breathing. You breathe slowly. Something moves at the edge of your vision. You turn your head slowly, so slowly. A rabbit sits at the border of the path, its fur silver gray in the moonlight, its ears tall and alert. It does not run. It watches you with eyes that are dark and calm, that hold no fear, no question. You watch it back. Neither of you moves. The moment stretches, becomes timeless, becomes a small eternity, where you and the rabbit and the garden are all part of the same breathing stillness. Then the rabbit turns. It hops away, silent as smoke, and disappears into the tall grass. You hear the faint whisper of its passage, then nothing. It is gone, or it was never there, or you dreamed it into being and then let it go. It does not matter. The garden is full of such things. Small visitations, brief miracles, moments that appear and vanish and leave no trace but the memory of wonder. You breathe slowly. You walk on. The path narrows again, and the beds press close on either side. Here the flowers are darker, deep purples that are almost black, blues like the sky just before night becomes complete. They are shaped like stars, like tiny hands reaching upward. Their scent is faint, almost bitter, the smell of roots and rain and things that grow in shade. You breathe slowly. Your fingers brush the petals as you pass. They are cool and slightly damp, soft as the skin of a plum. They cling to your touch for a moment, then release. You feel the sensation linger on your fingertips. The coolness, the smoothness, the faint give of something alive and tender. breathe slowly. The garden hums. Above you, the stars have shifted. Not much, but enough. Constellations have turned on their invisible axis. The moon has climbed higher, grown smaller, brighter. Its light is sharper now, more pure, and it cuts through the dark, like water through stone, patient and relentless and kind. You breathe slowly ahead. You see a small clearing. In its center stands a lantern. It is old. This lantern, iron and glass, hanging from a hook on a wooden post that leans slightly to one side. The glass is clouded with age, with weather, and inside a candle burns. The flame is small, steady, golden. It does not flicker. It simply exists, a single point of warmth in the cool night, a small sun burning in the garden's private sky. You walk toward it. The light pools around the base of the post, soft and amber, and you step into it. The warmth touches your face, your hands. It is so faint you almost imagine it, but it is there, a gentleness, a softening of the air, a small kindness offered by fire to flesh. You breathe slowly. You stop beside the lantern. The flame reflects in your eyes. You watch it burn, steady and patient, asking nothing, giving light simply because that is what fire does. You think of all the flames you have seen, all the candles lit and blown out, all the hearth fires and street lamps and stars. They are all the same flame, you think. They are all the same light, divided and scattered across the world, but still one thing, still the same ancient warmth that has burned since the first spark leapt from stone to stone. You breathe slowly. You reach out. You rest your hand on the post. The wood is smooth, worn by hands and time. It is cool to the touch, but where the lantern's warmth reaches it, there is a faint softness, a ghost of heat. You let your palm settle there. You feel the grain of the wood, the solidity of it, the way it stands without effort, without complaint, holding its small light against the dark. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you. You turn away from the lantern and continue walking. The path leads you deeper into the garden now, past beds you have not yet seen, past trellises draped in shadow, past stone walls that curve and disappear and emerge again. Everything is familiar. Everything is new. You have been here before, or you have never been here, or you have always been here and are only now remembering. You breathe slowly. The scent of jasmine returns. It drifts on the air like a whisper, like a memory of sweetness, and you follow it without thinking, without choosing. Your feet know the way. The garden knows the way. You are simply the one walking, the one breathing, the one letting yourself be carried forward by the slow current of the night. You breathe slowly. The path bends again, and you see another wall. This one is higher, chest high, built of the same pale stone as the others. Moss grows in the cracks between the stones, dark and soft as velvet. You run your fingers along the top of the wall as you walk. The stone is cool, slightly rough, and it grounds you, reminds you that you have a body, that you are here, that this is real, even if it feels like a dream. You breathe slowly. Beyond the wall, you glimpse another part of the garden, a space you have not yet entered, a place of deeper shadow and taller plants. You will go there, perhaps, or perhaps you will not. It does not matter. The garden is infinite in its smallness, endless in its containment. There is always more to see, more to feel, more to let yourself dissolve into. You breathe slowly. The stars drift overhead. They are not fixed, you realize. They are moving, always moving, so slowly you can barely perceive it, but moving nonetheless. The whole sky is turning. The whole universe is wheeling above you, and you are turning with it, held to the earth by gravity and breath and the quiet insistence of being alive. You breathe slowly. You stop walking. You stand in the middle of the path, and you let yourself simply be. The cool air moves across your skin. The scent of mint and jasmine and damp earth fills your lungs. The moonlight falls onto your face, your hands, your shoulders. The gravel is solid beneath your feet. The garden surrounds you, holds you, breathes with you. You breathe slowly. You feel yourself settling, not into sleep, not yet, but into something deeper than waking, something between thought and dream, between presence and absence. You feel the boundaries of yourself beginning to blur, to soften. You are not just a body standing in a garden. You are part of the garden itself, part of the air and the light and the patient earth, part of the slow breathing of roots and leaves, part of the ancient turning of stars. You breathe slowly. The night holds you, and you let yourself be held. You breathe slowly. The path calls you forward again, gently, without urgency. You begin to walk, and your footsteps are softer now, lighter, as if you have learned the language of the gravel, as if your feet and the stones have come to an understanding. The sound they make together is barely a whisper, barely a breath, just the faintest suggestion of movement through stillness. You let your gaze drift. The garden has changed again, or you have changed, or the night has deepened in ways that make everything look new. The shadows are richer now, pooled between the beds like spilled ink, like dark water. The moonlight seems brighter in contrast, more silver, more alive. It catches on every surface, on leaves, on petals, on the smooth curves of stones, and transforms them into something luminous, something touched by grace. You breathe slowly. To your right, a row of tall flowers rises from the earth. They are night blooming, these flowers, their faces wide and open like bowls offered to the sky. The petals are white with the faintest blush of cream at their centers, and they glow with an inner radiance that has nothing to do with the moon. They have their own light, these blooms, their own quiet burning. You stop beside them. You lean close. The scent is subtle, almost shy, a whisper of vanilla, of honey, of something sweet and clean that makes you think of milk and moonlight and the inside of shells. You breathe slowly. You reach out and cup one flower in your palm. It is cool to the touch, the petals smooth as water, as polished stone. You feel the delicate architecture of it, the way the petals overlap and spiral, the way the center holds its secrets close. You do not pluck it. You simply hold it for a moment, cradling it as you would cradle something precious, something fragile, something that exists only in this instant and will never be again. Then you let it go. The flower springs back, unharmed, perfect. It continues its quiet blooming, its patient offering to the night. You straighten and move on, carrying the memory of its coolness in your palm, the ghost of its scent in your breath. You breathe slowly. The path curves left, and you follow it into a part of the garden you have not yet seen. Here the space opens wider, and in the center stands a fountain. It is small and simple, a basin of pale stone, round as a moon, with water rising from a central spout in a gentle arc. The water falls back into the basin with a sound so soft. It is almost silence, almost the idea of water rather than water itself. It is a whisper, a hush, a lullaby sung in liquid syllables. You walk toward it. The sound grows clearer as you approach, though no louder. You hear each drop as it leaves the spout, as it arcs through the cool air, as it returns to the basin and merges with the water already there. The sound is hypnotic, rhythmic, steady as a heartbeat, as breath as the slow turning of the earth. You breathe slowly. You stop at the edge of the fountain. The water is clear, so clear you can see the bottom of the basin, smooth pale stone scattered, with a few leaves that have fallen, and now rest there like small boats, like messages written in a language of veins and stems. The surface of the water reflects the sky, holds the stars, holds the moon. It is another mirror, another window, another way of seeing the heavens brought down to earth. You breathe slowly. You dip your fingers into the water. It is cold, not the cold of ice, but the cold of deep earth, of springs that rise from places where sunlight has never reached. The coldness moves up your fingers, into your wrist, into your arm. It is clarifying, this cold. It wakes something in you, sharpens your senses, reminds you that you are alive, that you have skin and nerves and blood moving beneath it all. You breathe slowly. You lift your hand from the water and watch the droplets fall from your fingertips. They catch the moonlight as they fall, become small stars themselves, small diamonds, small pieces of light returning to their source. You hear each one strike the surface, tiny sounds, delicate as bells, as the wing beats of sleeping moths. You breathe slowly. You bring your wet fingers to your face. The water is cool against your cheeks, against your temples. You feel it evaporate slowly. Feel the faint chill it leaves behind, the whisper of absence where moisture was. The air touches your damp skin and the sensation is exquisite. A conversation between water and air and flesh. A small meeting of elements that speaks of connection, of belonging, of the way everything touches everything else in the end. You breathe slowly. The fountain continues its quiet song. You sit on the edge of the basin, your body finding the stone receiving your weight without complaint. The surface is cool beneath you, smooth and solid. You rest your hands on your knees and you simply sit, simply breathe, simply exist in this moment that asks nothing of you, that offers everything. You breathe slowly. The garden hums around you. You hear the fountain's whisper, the faint rustle of leaves in a breeze you cannot feel, the distant chime of wind bells speaking their brief syllables to the night. You hear your own breath, your own heartbeat. You hear the silence between sounds, the spaces where nothing happens and everything is. You breathe slowly. A moth lands on the rim of the fountain beside you. Its wings are pale gray, dusted with silver, marked with subtle patterns like frost on glass, like the rings inside a tree. It sits very still, its antennae moving slowly, tasting the air. You watch it without moving, without breathing, afraid that any motion will send it spiraling away into the dark. But it stays. It folds and unfolds its wings once, twice, in a gesture that seems almost like breathing, almost like prayer. You breathe slowly. The moth lifts and circles once around your head. You feel the air from its wings, the faintest breath against your face. Then it is gone, dissolved into the night, and you are alone again with the fountain and the stars and the patient stone. You breathe slowly. You rise from the basin's edge. Your body unfolds slowly, easily, as if you have been sitting for hours or for seconds. Time has lost its meaning here, has become as fluid as the water in the fountain, as changeable as the light. You stretch and you feel your spine lengthen, your shoulders open, your lungs expand. The cool air fills you completely, washes through you, leaves you clean and light. You breathe slowly. You continue walking. The path leads you past beds of low-growing plants you cannot name. They spread like carpets, their leaves small and dense, their flowers tiny points of white and yellow. They smell green, they smell alive, they smell of growth and patience, and the slow accumulation of days into seasons, into years. You breathe slowly. The gravel path is narrower here, barely wide enough for your feet. The beds press close on either side, and as you walk, the plants brush against your ankles, against your shins. You feel the cool touch of leaves, the slight drag of stems. Dew transfers from the plants to your skin, to your clothes, and you become damp with it, marked by the garden, claimed by the night. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you. You walk through a natural archway formed by two trellises that lean toward each other until they meet overhead. Vines have grown over them, knitting them together into a tunnel of leaves and shadow. You pass through slowly, and the darkness closes around you, not frightening, not cold, but enfolding, embracing, like being held in gentle hands. Above you, through gaps in the leaves, you see fragments of sky. Stars wink and disappear, and wink again as you move. The moon is hidden here, but its light filters through, dappled and soft, painting patterns on your skin, on the path beneath your feet. You feel cocooned, protected, held in a space between earth and sky, where time is suspended and nothing can harm you. You breathe slowly. You emerge from the archway into open space again. The garden spreads before you, different now, always different, always changing in its changelessness. You see more beds, more flowers, more paths branching and curving and returning to themselves. You see stone benches and small trees and the dark shapes of urns planted with trailing vines. Everything is silver and shadow. Everything is painted in shades of moon and midnight. You breathe slowly. You stop walking and turn in a slow circle. The garden surrounds you completely. You cannot see where it ends, cannot see any wall or fence or boundary. It seems to go on forever in all directions, infinite and contained at once, a universe folded into the space of a few breaths, a few steps, a few heartbeats. You breathe slowly. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, the garden continues. You see it perfectly. Every path, every stone, every flower glowing in the dark. You see yourself standing at the center of it all, small and quiet. Just another element in the composition, just another bloom in the cosmic bed. You are not separate from the garden. You are the garden. You are the night, the stars, the water, the stone. You breathe slowly. You open your eyes. The world returns, but it is softer now, gentler. The edges have blurred. The distinctions between you and everything else have faded. You are still yourself, but you are also more than yourself, larger and smaller at once, expanded and dissolved. You breathe slowly. The night deepens. The moon has crossed the sky without you noticing, and now it hangs lower, fuller, brighter. Its light falls at a new angle, creates new shadows, reveals things that were hidden before. You see a path you did not see earlier, leading toward a far corner of the garden. You see a bench bathed in moonlight, inviting you to rest. You see flowers that have opened while you walked, their faces turned to the sky in silent adoration. You breathe slowly. You choose the new path. Your feet carry you forward, and you let them. There is no wrong direction here, no way to lose yourself that isn't also a way to find yourself. The garden holds all paths, all possibilities, all ways of being. You simply walk, and the walking is enough. You breathe slowly. The gravel whispers beneath your feet. The sound is familiar now, comforting. It is the sound of progress without destination, of movement without arrival. It is the sound of being alive in the dark, of breathing, of continuing. You breathe slowly. You pass a stone wall covered in climbing roses. Their flowers are closed now, tight buds waiting for the sun, but their stems are thick with thorns that catch the moonlight and gleam like teeth, like small blades. You do not touch them. You simply admire them from a distance. These beautiful dangers, these protections that the plant has grown to keep itself safe in a world that might harm it. You breathe slowly. The path curves again, and you follow it faithfully. You are deeper in the garden now, in a place of older plantings, wilder growth. Here the beds are less defined, the paths less clear. Nature has been given more freedom here, more permission to be itself. The plants tangle and interweave, create their own patterns, their own logic. It is beautiful, this wildness. It is beautiful, this trust. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you, and you walk on, deeper into the night, deeper into the stillness, deeper into the infinite gentleness of this place where stars are flowers and flowers are stars, where everything breathes together, where you are home. You breathe slowly. The path has led you to a place of greater quiet, if such a thing is possible in a garden already steeped in silence. Here the air feels thicker, heavier with peace, with the accumulated stillness of hours upon hours of undisturbed rest. The gravel beneath your feet is softer, almost sand-like, and your steps make almost no sound at all, just the faintest whisper, just the ghost of movement. You let yourself drift forward. On either side of the path, the plants grow taller. Grasses rise to your waist, their seed heads nodding in a breeze you cannot feel, moved by some invisible current that exists only for them. Between the grasses, flowers bloom on tall stalks, pale blues and soft lavenders, colors that are almost not colors at all, that are more like memories of daylight filtered through water, through dreams, through the veil between waking and sleep. You breathe slowly. You brush your hand through the grasses as you walk. The seed heads bend and spring back, and they release their seeds into the air around you. The seeds are tiny, light as thought, and they drift on imperceptible currents, catching the moonlight as they fall. They look like snow, like ash, like stars descending to earth to plant themselves and grow into new constellations, new gardens, new worlds. You breathe slowly. The garden hums. It is a deeper hum now, more felt than heard. It resonates in your bones, in the cavity of your chest, in the soft spaces behind your eyes. You are tuned to it, you realize. You have become an instrument played by the night, a string vibrating in sympathy with everything around you, the earth, the air, the water sleeping in the soil, the stars wheeling overhead in their ancient dance. You breathe slowly. Ahead, the path opens into a circular clearing. In its center stands a tree. It is not large, this tree, but it is old. You can see it in the thickness of its trunk, in the gnarled texture of its bark, in the way its branches spread wide and low, as if offering embrace. The leaves are small and dark, and they shimmer in the moonlight, each one a tiny mirror, a tiny eye watching the sky. You walk toward it. The gravel gives way to soft earth, to grass, to moss. Your feet sink slightly with each step, and you feel the give of the ground, the receptiveness of it, the way it accepts your weight and holds you gently, the way it says yes to your presence without reservation. You breathe slowly. You stop at the base of the tree. The trunk is wide enough that you could not wrap your arms around it, not fully. The bark is rough beneath your palm, deeply textured, ridged and furrowed, like the lines in an ancient face, like a map of time itself. You press your hand against it and feel the solidity, the presence, the slow pulse of sap moving beneath the surface. So slow you might imagine it, but it is there. You are certain of it, this patient circulation, this quiet insistence of life. You breathe slowly. You lean your forehead against the bark. The tree is cool, but not cold. It holds the memory of the day's warmth deep within, and it releases it slowly, gradually, sharing it with you. You close your eyes and simply rest there, your body against the body of the tree, two living things touching in the dark, communicating in a language older than words, older than thought. You breathe slowly. The tree breathes with you. You feel it, or you imagine you feel it, the slow expansion and contraction, the way it draws water up from deep roots, the way it releases its breath into the night through countless invisible pores. You match your breathing to its rhythm, and for a moment you are not sure where you end and the tree begins, where the boundary is between flesh and bark, between human and plant, between one way of being alive and another. You breathe slowly. You open your eyes and step back. The tree stands as it has always stood, patient and still, asking nothing, offering shelter, offering presence, offering the simple gift of its existence. You walk around it slowly, your hand trailing along the trunk, feeling the different textures, smooth in some places, rough in others, places where knots have formed, where branches once grew and fell away, where insects have burrowed and left their marks, their tiny histories carved in wood. You breathe slowly. On the far side of the tree, you find a hollow. It is low near the ground, a dark opening in the trunk like a mouth, like a door to somewhere else. You kneel before it and peer inside. The hollow is deep, deeper than you expected, and it smells of dry wood and earth and time. You cannot see the back of it. It could go on forever, could lead down to the roots, down to the heart of the earth, down to the place where all trees are connected in a vast underground web of growth and communication. You breathe slowly. You reach inside. Your hand disappears into the darkness. You feel the smooth interior walls, worn by weather and creature and the passage of seasons. You feel the debris at the bottom, leaves perhaps, or the remnants of nests or acorns stored and forgotten. You withdraw your hand and sit back on your heels, content to let the hollow keep its secrets, content to know that such places exist, small refuges, small mysteries, small pockets of darkness held within the light. You breathe slowly. You rise and move away from the tree. Around the clearing, at the edge where grass meets path, you see stones arranged in a circle. They are not large, these stones, just rounded river rocks, each one smooth and pale. You walk to them and see that they mark the boundary of the clearing, create a ring of protection or blessing or simple definition. You step over them and continue along the path that leads out of the clearing, back into the garden proper. You breathe slowly. The path narrows again, becomes intimate, becomes a corridor between high beds where flowers bloom in profusion. Here are roses again, but different from the ones you saw before. These are smaller, wild, their petals loose and open like stars. Their scent is stronger, sweeter, more insistent. It fills the air completely, makes it thick and heady, makes you feel slightly drunk, slightly unmoored from ordinary scents. You breathe slowly. You walk through the tunnel of roses. Their branches arch overhead, heavy with blooms, and petals fall as you pass beneath. They drift down like snow, like blessings, and they touch your hair, your shoulders, your upturned face. You feel their softness, their coolness, their gentle benediction. Some catch in your hair and stay there. Little ornaments, little gifts from the garden to carry with you. You breathe slowly. You emerge from the roses into a wider space. Here, the garden is arranged in geometric patterns, squares and circles and diamonds beads within beds, paths that intersect and separate and return to themselves like the movements of a dance. It is formal here, intentional, designed by a hand that loved order and symmetry and the satisfaction of patterns that repeat and evolve. You breathe slowly. You follow one of the paths. It leads you in a spiral, curving inward toward a center you cannot yet see. You walk the spiral slowly, patiently, letting it carry you deeper and deeper into its coil. Each turn brings you closer to the heart of the pattern, closer to whatever waits at the center. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you. As you walk, you notice that each bed holds a different plant. Lavender here, sage there, rosemary along the next curve. Each plant contributes its scent to the air, and the scents layer and blend and create something complex, something rich, something that speaks of abundance and care and the patient work of hands that knew what they were doing. You breathe slowly. The spiral tightens. You are close to the center now, just a few more turns, and you can see something there. A shape, a darkness, a focal point. You continue walking, your anticipation quiet, your curiosity gentle. Whatever waits, there will reveal itself when you arrive, and there is no hurry, no rush. The garden unfolds in its own time, and you have learned to move with it, to trust its rhythms, to let yourself be led. You breathe slowly. You reach the center. There, on a low stone pedestal, sits a basin. It is simple, carved from a single piece of pale stone, wide and shallow. Water fills it, not flowing water, but still water, caught and held like a mirror, like a lens. The surface reflects the sky perfectly, holds every star, holds the moon, holds the infinite depth of space brought down to this small circle, this intimate offering. You breathe slowly. You kneel before the basin. Your knees find soft earth, and you settle there, gazing into the water. The reflection is so perfect that you feel dizzy for a moment, unsure which way is up, which way is down. Are you looking up at the sky or down into a pool? Is the universe above you or below you or all around you, contained in this small stone vessel? You breathe slowly. You see your own face in the water. It looks back at you, calm and peaceful, limned in moonlight, softened by shadow. You barely recognize yourself. You look different here, lighter somehow, more open, as if the garden has worked some subtle transformation, has peeled away layers of worry and time and left something essential, something true. You breathe slowly. You dip your fingers into the water. The reflection shatters into rings, into circles spreading outward, touching the edges of the basin and returning, overlapping, creating patterns that are beautiful and complex and temporary. You watch them until they fade, until the water is still again, until the sky returns, whole and perfect and unchanged. You breathe slowly. You bring your wet fingers to your lips. The water tastes clean, mineral sweet, like stone and sky, and the essence of coldness itself. It tastes like purity, like beginnings, like rain that has never touched the ground. You swallow, and you feel the coolness travel down your throat, into your chest, into your belly, spreading its clarity through you, like light through water. You breathe slowly. The garden hums. You sit back on your heels and simply breathe, simply exist, simply let yourself be held by this place, this moment, this perfect now that stretches in all directions, like the paths of the garden, like the rings in the water, like the light from ancient stars finally arriving. After traveling for years through the void, you breathe slowly. Time dissolves. You might have been here for minutes or hours or lifetimes. The moon has moved or hasn't moved. The stars have turned or remained fixed. It doesn't matter. You are here. You are present. You are exactly where you need to be. And the garden wraps around you like arms, like wings, like the embrace you have always needed and never knew you were seeking. You breathe slowly. Eventually, gently, you rise. Your body unfolds slowly, carefully, as if you are something precious, something that must not be rushed or forced. You stand beside the basin and you look down once more at the water, at the sky. It holds at the face that is your face, but also somehow not your face, somehow more and less than you at once. You breathe slowly. You turn and begin to walk the spiral again, but this time you walk outward, unwinding, emerging, following the path as it opens and releases you back into the larger garden. Each turn takes you farther from the center, but the center stays with you, held inside, carried in your chest like a small moon, like a drop of that clear water, like a seed that has been planted and will grow in its own time. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you, and you walk on. You breathe slowly. The garden has changed once more, or perhaps you have changed, or perhaps this is simply what happens when night reaches its deepest point. Everything becomes softer, quieter, more itself. The paths glow brighter now, as if the white gravel has absorbed all the moonlight it can hold and is releasing it gently, becoming its own source of luminescence, its own constellation laid out at your feet. You follow the light. Your steps are dreamlike now, unhurried and certain at once. You move through the garden as if you have always moved through it, as if you were born knowing these paths, these turns, these secret places where the flowers bloom their whitest and the stones hold their warmest memories of sun. Everything is familiar. Everything is home. You breathe slowly. The air has grown cooler still, touched with the first whisper of dawn, though dawn is hours away. You feel it on your skin, that particular coolness that speaks of the night reaching its fullness, its completion, the moment when darkness is most perfectly itself before the first bird calls, before the first light touches the horizon, before anything changes at all. You breathe slowly. To your left, you see a pergola. It stands at the edge of the path, its wooden beams dark against the luminous sky, its posts thick and weathered. Vines climb its frame, wisteria perhaps, though the flowers are closed now, hanging in pale clusters like sleeping bells, like the hands of sleepers folded in prayer. Beneath the pergola, suspended from the crossbeams, hang the wind bells you have been hearing all night, small glass shapes that catch the moonlight and fracture it into colors you can almost see, almost name. You walk toward them. The pergola creates a room without walls, a shelter without enclosure. You step beneath it, and immediately you feel held, protected, by the frame of wood and sky. The earth here is soft, covered in fallen petals and leaves that have drifted down over days and weeks and months. Your feet sink slightly, and the ground releases a scent, decay and sweetness mixed. The smell of things returning to soil, completing their cycle, becoming the nourishment for what will grow next. You breathe slowly. You stop in the center of the pergola. Above you, the wind bells hang motionless. You reach up slowly and touch one with your fingertip. It is glass, cool and smooth, shaped like a teardrop, like a small fruit made of light. At your touch, it swings slightly, and the clapper inside strikes the glass with a sound so pure, so clear, it seems to come from somewhere beyond sound itself. A note that exists in the border country between hearing and knowing, between sensation and memory. You breathe slowly. The note fades, but it doesn't disappear. It continues to vibrate in the air, in the wood of the pergola, in your bones. You feel it resonating, spreading outward in invisible circles, touching everything, waking nothing, simply being a moment of beauty that asks nothing, that gives everything, that exists for no reason except that beauty exists, that sound exists, that you are here to witness it. You breathe slowly. You touch another bell. This one sounds a different note, slightly lower, slightly warmer. The two notes hang in the air together, and where they meet, they create something new, not quite harmony, not quite dissonance, but something between, something alive and shifting. A conversation between two pieces of glass about the nature of singing, of resonance, of the way all things speak to each other if we listen long enough, if we are still enough to hear. You breathe slowly. You let your hand fall. The bells continue to sing softly, their voices fading slowly into silence, into the hum of the garden, into the breathing of the night. You stand beneath them and listen until you cannot tell if they are still sounding or if the sound has moved inside you, become part of your own vibration, your own quiet music. You breathe slowly. You walk out from under the pergola. The path continues, and you continue with it, moving deeper into the garden, though there is no deeper, moving forward, though there is no forward, simply moving because moving is what living things do, because stillness and motion are the same here, because everything is a form of being present, of saying yes to this moment, this breath, this step. You breathe slowly. The garden opens before you. You have come to a place you have not seen before, though perhaps you passed it earlier in a different light, in a different state of mind. Here the beds are arranged in concentric circles, one inside another, like ripples in water, like the rings of a tree, like the orbits of planets around an invisible sun. Each ring holds different flowers, different herbs, different shades of silver and white and pale blue under the moon. You breathe slowly. You walk the outer ring. The flowers here are low growing, spreading across the earth like foam, like snow. They have no scent, or their scent is so faint it might be the smell of moonlight itself, of cool air, of stone and silence. You walk slowly, your hand trailing through the blooms, feeling the soft touch of petals against your palm, against your fingers, feeling blessed blessed by small things, by ordinary miracles, by the simple fact of beauty existing in the dark. You breathe slowly. You move to the next ring inward. Here the plants are taller, reaching your knees. They sway in a breeze you still cannot feel, dancing to music you cannot hear, moving in patterns that speak of connection, of relationship, of the way all things touch and influence each other, even when they seem separate, even when they seem alone. You breathe slowly. The garden holds you. Ring by ring, you spiral inward. Each circle is smaller than the last, more intimate, more concentrated. The plants change with each ring, from flowers to grasses to herbs, to things you cannot name, things that might be weeds in another context, but here are sacred, here are essential, here are exactly what the garden needs to be complete. You breathe slowly. You reach the center. Here there is only earth, bare, dark, rich earth that has been tended and loved and fed. Nothing grows here yet, or everything grows here. Or this is the place where all growth begins and ends, the source and the destination, the seed and the harvest all at once. You kneel on this earth. You press your palms flat against it. It is cool and slightly damp, alive with the presence of countless organisms you cannot see. Bacteria and fungi and tiny creatures all working in the darkness, all transforming, all creating, all participating in the great work of life, becoming life, becoming life. You breathe slowly. You feel the earth beneath your hands. It is solid. It is real. It holds you the way it holds the roots of the garden, the way it holds the stones, the way it holds everything that exists on its surface and in its depths. You are connected to it, you realize, not metaphorically, not poetically, but actually, physically, through the ground beneath your knees, through the food you have eaten that came from soil like this, through the water you have drunk that fell as rain and soaked into earth and rose again. You breathe slowly. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, you see the garden entire. You see every path, every flower, every stone, every drop of water in the pond and fountain and basin. You see the tree at the center of its clearing, the lantern burning in its patient vigil, the wind bells hanging silent in the pergola. You see it all at once, complete and perfect, a small universe that holds everything, that excludes nothing, that makes room for shadow and light, for growth and decay, for stillness and motion, for you. You breathe slowly. You open your eyes. The sky has changed. It is still dark, but the darkness is different now. Less black, more blue, touched with the faintest suggestion of something coming, something arriving, though it is still far off, still held at bay by the sovereignty of night. The stars are beginning to fade, not disappearing but receding, stepping back to let something else emerge. You breathe slowly. You rise from the earth. Your body unfolds one last time, and you stand at the center of the circles, at the heart of the garden, at the still point around which everything turns. You feel the weight of your body, the solidity of it, but also its lightness, its transparency, the way you are both here and not here, both yourself and dissolved, both a single being and part of everything. You breathe slowly. you begin to walk outward. You follow the circles as they widen, as they open, as they release you gently back into the larger garden. With each step, you feel yourself returning, gathering, becoming more defined, more separate. Though you carry the center with you, carry it like a seed, like a flame, like a truth that cannot be lost or forgotten. You breathe slowly. You emerge from the circles onto a main path. It is the path you walked at the beginning, or a path just like it, or all paths are the same path here. All roads lead home, all journeys end where they began, transformed and transforming. You walk it slowly, savoring these last moments, these last breaths of the deepest night. You breathe slowly, the garden holds you one last time. You pass the pond, and the water is still perfect, holding the fading stars like precious stones. You pass the fountain, and it whispers its eternal song, patient and constant. You pass the beds of herbs and flowers, the walls of warm stone, the benches empty and waiting. You pass the lantern, and its flame still burns, steady and golden, a small sun in the garden's private cosmos. You breathe slowly. You walk toward the place where you began. The air is changing now, growing lighter by imperceptible degrees. The moon is setting, sinking toward the horizon, and as it descends, its light becomes warmer, more golden, more like memory than illumination. The shadows lengthen and soften. The dew on the leaves grows heavier, more visible, each drop a tiny world reflecting the whole. You breathe slowly. You feel yourself settling, not into sleep exactly, but into something deeper than sleep, something more complete. You feel your body growing heavy, your limbs filling with a pleasant weight, your thoughts slowing, stopping, becoming as still as the water in the pond, as quiet as the stones, as patient as the roots growing in the dark earth. You breathe slowly. You reach a bench. It is the same bench you saw before, or it is a different bench, or there is only one bench in the garden, and you have been walking in circles, arriving again and again at the same place, the same moment, the same invitation to rest. You sit. The stone is cool beneath you, solid and welcoming. You lean back. You let your weight settle completely. Let the bench hold you. Let the earth hold the bench. Let everything hold everything else in this great web of support and presence. You breathe slowly. You close your eyes. The garden continues around you. The flowers blooming and fading and blooming again. The water flowing and resting and flowing. The stars turning overhead in their eternal dance. The moon setting and the sun rising, and the great wheel of day and night turning without pause, without hurry, without any need for your attention or understanding or approval. You breathe slowly. You feel yourself dissolving, not disappearing, but expanding, spreading out like water soaking into soil, like light diffusing through air, like breath released into wind. You are becoming part of the garden, part of the night, part of the great breathing that holds all things, the planets and stars, the gardens and forests, the creatures that walk and fly and swim and crawl, the plants that root and reach and bloom in silence. You breathe slowly. The garden breathes with you. One breath in, On breath out, the rhythm continues, steady and eternal, and you are part of it now, not separate, not alone, but woven into the fabric of everything, held in the arms of the night, cradled by the earth, watched by the stars that are also flowers, that are also you, that are also everything that has ever existed or ever will exist in this small garden, this infinite cosmos, this place of silent stars. You breathe slowly, and slowly, so slowly, you let yourself rest. The night holds you, the garden holds you, the stars drift above, and everything is still. you.